All right, I brought the music down real quick because we got a hell of a lot to talk about tonight. First thing I want to do is say welcome to the Sports Porch, and thank you for being here. It's been one heck of a week in the NFL and everywhere else. And thank you if you're listening on American Busker iHeartRadio. 150 million registered users. That's like almost everybody. 2,000 devices, 260 platforms. Grab the iHeartRadio platform. They want me to say iHeartRadio platform. I call it the iHeartRadio app because it's an app on your phone. But grab the iHeartRadio app and make sure that you subscribe to our podcast. Guess what? The best thing about that is it's free. It's a podcast. You can listen to us on the way into work. You can listen to us on the way to Giant Eagle.
They're paying you to listen to it.
That's right. And you can listen to Steve just about every night after every single Pens game. We got the Hockey Jesus Pens update. He does about a 5-minute update. Our highest downloaded show. Thank you so much for that.
Download.
Absolutely.
Dr. Download.
Subscribe to the podcast. Visit theporcheslive.com, theporcheslive.com, theporcheslive.com. Leave us a message. And let's get right into the show, guys. We might have a hello comment. Of course, I knew that. DG is in the house, one of our faithful supporters. Thank you, DG. Also, check out theporcheslive.com, the merch page, the store. There's a great T-shirt, a mug there. I think it looks like that right there. Okay, guys, here we go. Pittsburgh. Let's just recap real quick. Everybody already knows. If you watched last night's game, the Steelers lost 16-10. They had 2 chances in the fourth quarter with 6 minutes or less to go in which they could have won, and unfortunately they didn't. Picket threw some interceptions. The defense played pretty well. Tua was back. They shut down Waddle and Tyreek Hill for the most part. They got their catches in, but they didn't blow them away. No, I'm going to start right here, and I want to get your comments if you're listening or you're watching us. I'm going to start with Schwab. I want to get your take on the game, Schwab, and then we'll move on to the questions from the game. Tell us what you think.
Well, I think it's a very depressing time to be a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. I gotta be honest with you. It's really, really frustrating watching that team play, because the offense is just without imagination. It seems like, being a guy who never played football at any level beyond flag football, I'm ready for the jet sweep,
yeah.
I mean,
frustrating.
It's just ridiculous. I feel like, Kenny Picket has not been good, but I also think he's been put in a position to fail. It just seems like they don't really have any answers now. I don't like the way they built the team. I like building the team from the inside out, and they did not do that. It's a team of skill guys. So it's hard for the skill guys to win when you're not winning in the trenches. So for me, I feel very bad for Steelers fans because it is going to be a long season. I don't see it getting a heck of a lot better. I really don't. And I'll just hand it over to you, Steve.
Well, you shouldn't feel too bad for us. I mean, we do have 6 Super Bowls, so we always can rest on those laurels. But
they always go to that. I mean, honestly, well, I mean, that's the past,
dude.
Nobody cares about the Super Bowls.
Everybody cares about the history of the NFL, right?
Right. But what does that have to do with now?
I'm just telling you why we can take some solace in down times.
Okay. All right. I'm with you.
When was the last one? 2008?
2010 was the last one that we lost.
Okay.
2008 was the last one we won.
Okay, let's move on to the game.
Okay.
Talk about the
We
game.
can go back.
I'm
because,
just saying it's now 12 years since you've been in a Super Bowl.
Mhm.
And before you know it, all of a sudden it might become 20, 28, 35. And then all of a sudden nobody cares about the 7 Super Bowls.
So we've never
everybody's dead.
We've never gone
Right, including us.
We've never gone more than 16 years since 1974 to make a Super Bowl, so I'm not that worried.
How was 1933 to 1973?
Yeah, well, okay.
All right. Listen, I'm going to take control of this right
Okay.
now. Let's bring us back to
Let's
today.
bring
First of
We're
all, the
talking
Super
about-
Bowl era started in the 60s.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
We're talking about the Miami game last night.
Yes.
Come on. Let's get back on track.
I just don't want anybody to feel too sorry for Steelers Nation because we have a rich history of winning and we will be back.
Trust me, nobody feels sorry for Steelers Nation.
Well,
I
Mark
don't.
was,
I'm just saying that's.
Well, he's an Eagles fan.
I'm just
they feel
saying-
sorry for everybody, including themselves.
I'm just saying sometimes that's what people think,
Right.
and
Okay.
then it doesn't happen.
Okay. All right. Your take on the game.
So we're going to move on from that.
Okay. That's damn
My
good.
take on the game is this: another lost opportunity. They literally could have won that game. They could have stole it from Miami. There's no reason why they couldn't have just pulled a Trubisky and went down the field with a ball one of the 3 times they had the ball in the fourth quarter. All they had to do was make a couple 3rd and 12s. And they couldn't even do that.
Right.
And Picket just throws interceptions. So not only on top of that, they turn the ball over. So it's disappointing. Did I think they were going to win?
Yes.
No.
You're right.
Am I happy they only lost by 6? No, I am not.
Yeah.
Because they had the opportunity to win the game. The defense actually did do a good job, like you said, of stopping their big plays. That being said, they did give up a ton of 20-some yard plays in the first half. Oh, my God. I mean, it was like whenever Tua wanted to throw it across the middle, there goes 20 yards. There goes 25 yards.
Mhm.
There goes.
Well, and
there goes
Mostert
18
was
yards.
running all over them for a period of time there.
Well,
I
so I
Tua
think
was
what
also
Miami-
off a little bit too.
I think what Miami did wrong is they didn't, after they had the lead, just go to the run. That's how you beat the Steelers.
Yeah.
You go to the run, and they just didn't go to the run.
Well, I think they split. I think they split the difference.
So that's the way I felt about the game as I was watching it last night. I think Pickett looked terrible. I mean, I think he looked lost in trying to win a game. He didn't know how to win a game. He wasn't showing how to win a game. He wasn't around when Ben was around to be able to see how to win a game. So I think he's got to figure that out. He absolutely has to figure that out if he's going to be and he will be our quarterback for the future. But man, I mean, he's off to a terrible start. I mean,
Right.
2 touchdown passes, 8 interceptions, 7 interceptions.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not good. I mean, he's just and I get it. You know, he wants to make plays. He wants to throw the ball downfield. I encourage that. I think it's a good thing. And maybe even that first one, there was some holding going on there. There was the tangle up of the feet. So even that one, I still say, hey, you can make a better throw. But I'm frustrated by this team right now.
Okay, so there's a lot going on here. Okay, and obviously, whenever you have a team, which I've been saying since the beginning of the season,
is in transition.
Thank you very much. You're going to have issues. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to say is that no, Pickett did not play great. Okay, that's obvious. But I am still going to put this on Canada's shoulders, okay? Because Pickett, I believe, and I was saying this during the game. I said it during the Tampa Bay game when we were there. Not sure Steve remembers much of the Tampa Bay game.
Oh, I did.
But
Because we won.
and I said it last night. The play calling, especially in the passing game, is atrocious. Okay. These cornerbacks and safeties cover the sidelines because the only thing that they really throw are out patterns. That's it. And first of all, on an out pattern, you've got a very, very small window to begin with because it's an out pattern.
Yeah.
Second of all, when they know it's coming, they're going to jump the route. So if all Tom Brady threw, and we'll get to Tom Brady later on, but if all he threw were out patterns, if all Johnny Unitas threw were out patterns, they would all have a lot more interceptions, and they were pros. Kenny Pickett's a rookie. He's going to make mistakes. He's not in a position where he feels like he can take over the offense and change the call because rumor has it he's not allowed to anyway. Okay, where is the middle of the damn field, especially when you have 6 minutes left? 6 minutes left. Okay, you can get 10 to 15 yards. Why, when it's second and 23 or third and 19, are we throwing an out pattern that's 7 yards? Okay, and you have 6 minutes left. All right, so to me, Terry Bradshaw had 7 interceptions in his first 2 games. He went on to win 4 Super Bowls. I'm not saying that Kenny Pickett is going to go on to win 4 Super Bowls, okay? What I'm saying is that you cannot say that Kenny Pickett, nobody can say Kenny Pickett is bad or doesn't have it based on these first 2 games. What Kenny Pickett doesn't have is an offensive coordinator that understands what his strengths are, okay? That's number 1 for me. That's number 1. Number 2 is, I'm sorry, guys, and I'm sorry, Steelers Nation. Najee Harris is not the running back of the future for this team. He's just not. And I'm nothing away from the – look, whenever we say this kind of stuff, the first thing I always say, because I feel guilty, is that it's no reflection on the guy's work ethic or character at all. But Najee Harris does not have it. When he finds a hole, he can't get through the hole quick enough. His vision, once he gets past it, is bad. I saw him make a couple runs the other day where if he just took a step to the left instead of the right, he had an open lane. Okay, the offensive line is performing a little bit better.
The jump on the 3rd and 1 was really awful.
And jumping on that 3rd and 1.
I agree.
And so they've got running game issues. George Pickens is the only guy that knows how to catch the football, and they don't throw to him. Why? Because they have him running out patterns. When are we going to see George Pickens run a post pattern?
Did you hear what Tomlin said about that?
No.
How come you didn't go back to Pickens? He said it was the contour of the routes that didn't.
I don't care. Listen,
right, because they have a choice they can go. They can either go this way or that way.
Well, and I want to go back. I want to go back to one thing. I see some comments coming in here. I want to get them in here. Of course, the first one I'm going to get is DG agreeing with me on Najee. Cheryl, of course, you are absolutely nailing it. Thanks, Cheryl.
I think she was talking about me. The 6 Super Bowls.
Brian Lee says he was not given the play calling to win either from Canada. Right. Cheryl also says she's a diehard Steelers fan. They're depressed, but we'll move forward. I'm a Pickett fan. Right. So, I mean, the whole point is that, again, transition year. I think Kenny Pickett is the kind of kid who's going to bounce back from this. He made a comment that the one thing that's surprising to him is the number of defenses he has to learn. But he's the kind of guy where he's going to learn those defenses. Okay. Now, I do want to give a shout out to Tomlin for one thing. And then if you guys want to go off on Tomlin, please do. But I'll tell you what, for a defense that was decimated and looking horrible, Tomlin showed that he can coach a defense. Okay. He's put players in positions to make. Look, they played great defense. They shut him out in the second half. Now, Miami wasn't playing with a totally full deck, but they shut him out in the second half. Those 4 interceptions they dropped, if they made 2 of them, that game is totally different. They win. So you can't put it all in Kenny's back.
But that is part of it, though. Like there are guys who catch the ball and there are guys who don't. That's what makes you a great corner and an average corner and a crappy corner.
Of course, but there's lots of great corners. Like sometimes you're not expecting the ball and it just ends up there. So, I'm just saying that defense definitely is playing above itself right now. They played
decent defense.
And they're going to be tested next week with the
they didn't
Eagles.
play decent defense in the first quarter.
No.
Everybody came out and said, this defense sucks.
Yes.
We're terrible. But then they righted the ship, and I think that's the idea of the Steelers. They have good coaching on the defensive side where they can make changes to suddenly go from a team that gave up 13 points or whatever it was, 10 points in the first 6 minutes to 3 points in the last whatever minutes. It just, that's what I like about this defense. And yes, they still screwed the pooch on those 4 drops. You intercept some of those balls and then
Game
you're
over.
going the other way.
Game over.
And the momentum changes. and suddenly everybody's looking at Tua, not having a good game and all those things. So, but you have to capitalize on it, and that's my point. And it's what the defense isn't doing now. It's what Pickett isn't doing now, and clearly the offensive scheming is off. And Tomlin, as a leader, needs to do something about that offensive scheming.
Yeah.
As far as the defense goes, I don't know who's in charge of the defense.
That's
Who
true.
is it? Is it Flores?
It's
Is it
supposed
Austin?
to be Tomlin.
Is it Tomlin? It's always Tomlin when it goes well, and it's always Tomlin when it goes bad, Or it's always, what's Flores doing? He's not doing anything, So I think they can get it together. I just think that by putting Pickett out there so soon, by making that knee-jerk decision against the Jets to try and save the season, which didn't work, now they're stuck and they have to continue down this path.
Well, he's going to have
I think they would have been better off keeping Trubisky in there for a few more games so Pickett could understand the whole playbook, and then he could come in a much better position. I agree with Mark. I think they set him up to fail in this situation. But hey, you're right. It's a transition season, so it's going to suck. So whether it sucks for 4 more games than it would have otherwise, who really cares? Well, as far as your things about Najee, I have to take some offense to this.
I disagree with that.
I think with Najee, the problem is that I don't even know how to say this. I think it's a combination of he's injured, 1. Mm-hmm. 2, the offensive line isn't that great, 2.
Yeah.
And 3, they run the ball way too much in you're going to run it downs. Run on first down, why? Right. It's stupid. It's dumb. You're not going to get 6 or 7 or 12 yards on first down with this offense. You need to do things differently other than the jet sweep differently.
Yeah, we don't even want to talk about the jet sweep.
So that's where I say pump the brakes on Najee being a failure, because I think that Najee would be fine if the play calling was a little bit better. And I get it. You could say the same thing with Pickett, right? You absolutely can. So I think everybody agrees that Canada is the real problem, and that when that goes away, I'm going to step back for 1 second. Canada did put together an offense that did beat Tampa Bay with Trubisky. I'm just curious why Pickett couldn't do it against Miami and Trubisky could do it against Tampa Bay. Well, that's the only gripe I have about Pickett. And to me, it's because he's young and he just doesn't know how to do it.
All right. Can I have the floor for a minute?
It's all yours.
So, okay, saw this stat, and I think this kind of really says it all with regard to Matt Canada. So Matt Canada now has his, young mobile quarterback, and before that, he had a Hall of Fame quarterback. He's got a total of 25 games as offensive coordinator of the Steelers. Only 5 of those 25 have they scored more than 20 points in an NFL that's geared towards the offense. That's pretty terrible. And so what that leads me to is kind of the next indictment, which is on Tomlin. And I feel like a real strength of a strong leader is, it's the ownership piece. You got to own when you've made a mistake. It's pretty clear. I mean, we're talking about it. They were actually talking about it on the broadcast last night, that the play calling was suspect. Everybody's talking about it. So the bottom line is Mike Tomlin has got to know that, basically the results are telling you the answer. So are you going to do something about it and make a change? Now, look, it's not going to make them a winning team this season, but it might breed new life into the offense. And here's the other thing that I also find very frustrating. I heard somebody on the radio say this today, and I really thought it was smart, is, with Tomlin's expertise being on the defensive side of the ball, isn't Tomlin looking at this offensive game plan and saying, boy, we could stop this game plan? So, the bottom line is, at some point you have to say, look, you can take somebody from college and they can be great. More often than not, they're not, but they can be great. But, you're talking really about a college coach who's really done nothing to show that he can succeed at the NFL level. And at one point is enough enough.
Yeah, and I think we're at that point.
Yeah, I think we're way past that point.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, I think most of Steelers Nation would agree with us on that. Absolutely. So last thing here, wide receivers. We had a comment earlier. What would you do with Claypool? Trade him. That's what Steve said.
Yeah, but here's the crazy thing. The crazy thing, and I don't know if this is just to try to get a better pick, but I kind of think they believe it. Like they're talking like they need at least 2 number 1 picks.
That's ridiculous.
Like who on earth would give you that for Chase Claypool?
Right.
That's absurd.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, that's insane. But you know what? Mark my words. He will not be traded. Okay.
They're not gonna-
And somebody will offer, I bet, a 2nd-round pick for him,
Probably.
and they won't trade him.
No, but they should.
They should.
Because the second
Right.
round pick is probably about what he's worth.
Right.
And the reality is, in the future, there's no space on him on this team. They
Right.
signed Deontay. They're clearly going to keep Pickens.
Right.
And they still got Calvin Austin, who's injured right now, but talk is he's going to be back after the bye week. So they can plug him in right away. So it's not like they don't have somebody they could plug in there. And if they needed to, they could play Gunnar Olszewski, as a 4th wide receiver.
Right.
So, I mean, they
Right.
have players. So why not, if this is truly a rebuild, why not get another pick for next year? And if
Right.
it's a 2nd-round pick, you absolutely should do it.
Right.
Now, 2 first-round picks, that's ridiculous.
Right.
That's just the Steelers up in the ante to see them where if they could get 1 first-round.
But here's the thing. I don't know, though. Like, like one of the questions you got to have is, has Tomlin and I guess, the Steelers GM hierarchy, have they sort of lost their way on their judgment of talent? Maybe they think Chase Claypool is that kind of talent. Like Christian McCaffrey, he went for what, like 2 1s and a 3 and a 4 or something like that.
A lot of picks.
A lot of picks. Now, look, Christian McCaffrey's been hurt a lot, but when he's on the field, he's a great player, right? Now, Chase Claypool had like 11 great games as a rookie and hasn't done anything since.
Right.
You know what
True.
I mean?
True.
Like, so where on earth do they think that he's got, that kind of value? I mean, honestly, if it was my team and I needed a receiver, and look, he's got a great body, great football body, height and size, and look, we know he can make some plays. He certainly did with Ben Roethlisberger. I'd take a flyer on him, but I wouldn't take a flyer on him for more than a 3rd.
Yeah.
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 I mean, that's kind of where I come in.
Well, and I think Pickens is not in the game plan enough at all. And I also think we underutilize tight ends. Where is the seam route with a tight end? Where is the over the middle?
Freiermuth had a pretty big game. He had a lot of receptions, but not for a lot of yards.
And only when it was an absolute necessity.
And he's the only guy catching the balls over the middle.
Yeah. Right. So, when are we going to start to do this? Okay. So I think that's enough about the Steelers. We'll get on to our predictions a little bit later. Tim Pomato from Palmetto in the house. From what I read, the Steelers have to make a decision on Austin by Wednesday this week. We'll see what happens there. So
November 1st is the trade deadline. So,
right.
They got through the weekend.
By the way, did Sims get hurt last week?
Yeah.
Okay, because I was wondering why wasn't he out there for the?
Yeah, Sims was hurt.
Okay.
Sims was hurt. All right, so moving on, we got a couple questions here we want to get to.
Tim's right. Sorry about Austin. Yeah, that's to put him on the long-term IR or bring him back.
Right. Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady. Are they done?
Man.
I'm gonna say no, but
Question mark.
But okay, and what that means is, Aaron Rodgers, I don't believe is done, but he needs a number 1 receiver.
Yep,
he does.
Tom Brady, I don't think is done, but I think Todd Bowles is proving why when you lose at other places, you are a losing coach.
Yeah, that's unfortunate because I like Todd Bowles, but you're right. You're right.
I mean?
You're right.
I just don't think he's a good head
he's just not a good head football coach. It was a curious decision kind of when it happened for me. Brady, I think, it wouldn't shock me to see him on another team next year.
I agree with Mark with this one.
Yeah.
I think Brady will end up on another
Like
team next year.
I could see Brady ending up in like San Francisco next year.
No. You know where I can see him?
Where?
Back in New England next year.
That would be.
That's
something.
always a possibility.
I can see that happen.
Maybe
Wouldn't that be
one more
something?
round.
Yeah,
Especially
if
especially if he is divorced
Absolutely.
at that time. Yeah.
You know why?
Yeah.
Because he hates me.
Yeah.
Rodgers, I also think could be very good again on another team with better weapons around him.
I don't know. I think Rodgers
Well, he just signed a
Rodgers
big
looks like a
contract, so.
different guy this year.
Yes.
And it's clearly because he doesn't have Devontae Adams. I mean,
Right.
you lose Devontae Adams. I mean, come on.
Right.
It's the reason why the Houston Texans are terrible. They got rid of DeAndre Hopkins, and that guy was clearly top-notch talent.
Right.
And now the whole team is just garbage, So, and I think that's what's happening in Green Bay. I think they have a lot of talent, but man, you lose that much talent and not replace it with anything.
Right.
I mean, I hear Chase Claypool's out there, but
Yeah,
I don't
he
think
could be,
he's gonna.
yeah.
I don't think he's gonna fill the shoes of Devontae Adams.
Yeah. I think Brady's done. I do. I don't think he's got.
Think he's finally hit it.
Yeah,
Now, did you
I
see,
think he's hit
did you
the
see
wall.
the pass to Mike Evans?
Yeah, of course.
That wasn't his fault.
That was not his fault. DG says back to New England, especially since he was just at Kraft's wedding. Yeah, I mean, anything can happen. And the only reason I say that I think Brady is done is because he is 45. Okay, I get it, TB12 and all that kind of stuff.
Maybe.
But I just don't. I don't see that passion. I don't see the zip on his passes. He is not as accurate as he was. And another year. I don't think so. Rodgers, I also happen to think is done. I know he doesn't have the weapons, but the point is there were quite a few years where he was incredible.
Right. He made everybody else look great.
And yeah, neither one of those quarterbacks is now at a point in their career where they are elevating other players.
Right.
They're at a point where they need other players as well. And I think that done doesn't necessarily mean Brady. I don't know that Brady will retire. Could I see him on Tampa Bay again or on the Patriots or any other big team for that matter? Rodgers, could I see him coming back to Green Bay? Yeah, there's an ego there. Of course.
Well, there's a paycheck too.
As far as Dunn goes,
yeah.
Skill level definitely diminished. Not the quarterbacks they once were. I don't see them playing much longer. I think they're both done.
I think your best point was the fact that they used to elevate guys around them. Now they need guys around them to make them look
right. Like think about like Josh Allen. What does he do for Gabriel Davis?
Everything.
He makes him a star.
Yeah.
Right.
Gabriel Davis on any other NFL team is a third receiver at best.
Yeah.
He's good, but he's not a
Yes.
top-notch number one wide receiver
Yeah.
where you want him on your team.
Right.
And this is a passing the torch kind of thing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, you've
Absolutely.
got your stars now. You've got
Yep.
Mahomes, you've got Jackson,
Mahomes,
you've got
Jackson,
Allen, you've got some up and comers. You've got Jalen
Kyler Murray,
Hurts,
if you're a fan.
Kyler Murray,
Kyler Murray.
Jalen
Now,
Hurts, if you're an Eagles fan.
Yeah.
No,
He's
that's-
pretty good actually. He's pretty good. I hate
He's learned to
saying it, but
manage
he's
the
good.
game. He
It's a
has
pr-
learned
it's
to
a-
manage the game.
It's a pretty good example for Kyler Murray. Look at the difference with DeAndre Hopkins versus without him.
Right, exactly. I
Right.
mean,
Can't do anything without him.
yeah.
Right.
You
True.
know?
But I mean, he can always run the
He can
ball,
always run.
but that
But,
only
yeah.
lasts for so long.
Right.
Right. So I'm going to get one more comment in here on Brady. Cheryl says, I've been following Brady for many years. He is the
Cheryl.
GOAT. I named my 20-year-old son after him after being a Steelers fan. Wow.
boy.
I don't know. You're taking a big
Can we
risk.
ban her from
What
anymore?
did you name him? Tom Brady Stallings Moore?
TB12 more.
Personal issues are affecting him. TB12 Moore. Thanks for the comment, Cheryl. Really appreciate you
Oh,
being here.
Cheryl, you're breaking my heart.
All right, so we're gonna move to something here that's actually pretty exciting. You can catch it on theporcheslive.com, theporcheslive.com. I always say it 3 times, Robert. Theporcheslive.com. That's our website.
And it's yours.
David's
And
got a funny thing to say there.
Steve here, our hockey Jesus, is doing post-game Penguins updates and analysis after every game, except on the West Coast. On the West Coast games, he's going to do a pre-game and then a post-game, pre-game the next day. But he drops it on the podcast, the Sports Porch podcast on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Overcast, Google Podcasts. It's about a 5-minute recap after every game. Tune into the Sports Porch, not here on Facebook, not on American Busker iHeartRadio. You got to go to the podcast. It is our most downloaded podcast. So all you hockey fans out there, you can get his analysis, Hockey Jesus, on the Sports Porch. Please listen to it. You'll have one tonight after the game tonight.
I will have one after the game tonight.
They're playing Edmonton tonight, right?
I mean, how can you not see Sidney Crosby versus the Hockey Jesus equivalent on the ice of Mick Jesus?
Yeah.
So,
McDavid.
Connor McDavid, yeah.
So, I mean, they both have 10 points going into tonight's game. So this could be for the league lead in points. Although they have to get like 4 or 5 points to catch Panarin. But, the bread man's up there. So
the Penguins are scoring an awful lot of goals.
They are.
26 goals for, 11 against.
Yeah.
Highest point differential in the league.
Yep.
Peaking too soon.
Oh, yeah. I guess same could be said for the Flyers. But this. It's all about goaltending. Jari's hot now. So is Carter Hart. I mean, when you have a hot goalie and people don't know how to score against you, you win games. It's really
and when you have a number one line like the Penguins have right now, and then you have some follow-up scoring after that, what you like to refer to as secondary scoring, and some defensive players that are scoring from the blue line and all that. Mm-hmm. They just seem to have it. They just seem to have come out of the preseason skating the right way.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, Gensel's been hurt, and he's hurt again, so he's not going to play tonight. That's 2 games in a row. But they place Danton Heinen on the first line, and he scores 2 points. So, I mean, that's the Sid factor. That's the Sid factor. Sid's amazing still. I mean, I know he's not Connor McDavid. He doesn't have the speed. He doesn't have the hands. He's not that type of guy. He actually never really was, but he still can play all aspects of the game, and he does it probably better than anybody else. If you're not watching Sidney Crosby, you're just really not a hockey fan.
I guess I'm not a hockey fan.
Well, you get to see him the 5 times he gets to play against the Flyers.
Yeah, so, just remember, tune in to the Sports Porch podcast after every Penguins game for Hockey Jesus analysis. And, of course, you can catch up on the Sports Porch podcast for our show. Want to give a shout-out to Schwaber's Phillies. Congratulations for making the World Series.
World Series bound.
Yeah, Bryce Harper, the superhero.
Bring on the trash cans.
Yeah, there you go. Houston, bring on the trash cans. You got it. And something exciting, if you're a Philly sports fan, we will be launching the Sports Porch Philadelphia. We might have to go in a little early on this since we got the Phillies in the World Series, buddy.
Yeah,
we might have to talk about that.
Yeah.
But anyway, you can
don't worry. The Eagles will still be undefeated.
We'll add that. We'll add that. So let's move on here to something that we love to do, and that's our predictions. We're going to relive last week, and I can't wait to relive last week's
Some people love this section more than others.
Yes,
let's just say it that way.
And I would say that I this week love it more than both of you because our predictions last week, we'll go over them real quick. Last week, we predicted the Saints at the Cardinals. All 3 of us got that one right. The Cardinals beat the Saints.
What a game that was. A lot of points scored.
A lot of points scored. Yeah, well, Hopkins was back. So, all right. The Colts and Titans last week. The Titans won that game. Steve picked the Colts. And Chris and Mark picked the Titans.
Well, the good thing about the Colts losing is now we don't have to worry about Mark's prediction for Super Bowl.
Definitely not.
Unless Sam Ellinger becomes the next Tom Brady.
Which is always a possibility.
Hey, it's possible. In that division, anybody can win that division.
That is true. And Chiefs at the 49ers. Steve and Chris took the Chiefs. And Mark took the 49ers. So last week,
49ers look terrible.
Steve was 2-1.
Hey, my first winning.
Mark was 2-1. Chris, the genius, was 3-0. And that brings our record this week. There it is down at the bottom. I am now 12-9. Mark is in the lead at 13-8, but I'm closing. And Steve is, hey, look. A lot of games left, 8-13. A lot of games left. So this week, as I peruse through my notes, real quick, we're going to talk about the Steelers versus the Eagles. I think that's I'll just jump in right away. Eagles victory all the way. I want the Steelers to win, but Eagles victory all the way. No way they game plan for the Eagles. Defense is great. Their offense is great. And we all know the Steelers have problems.
I mean, the only chance I think the Steelers have is that the Eagles are on the bye, so they're going to come out a little rusty, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess in a way, you're sort of wondering, like, at some point, Kenny Pickett's going to have a really good week.
Right. I don't think it's going to be this week,
but probably not.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess the Eagles, everybody talks about their defense, but I mean, they're really built on that turnover differential, highest in the league. I mean, they make the offense turn the ball over a lot. We're used to turning the ball over a lot, so I don't think this will be that much different. But the reality is the Eagles know how to run the ball. I mean, when it comes down to it, all they really have to do is run the ball. They can still hit the big play. So my guess is it'll be boring at first. There'll be a lot of running. Maybe the Steelers will stop it a little bit. Then there'll be a big play to loosen up the defense, and then all hell is going to break loose. That's the way I see it happening.
All hell's going to break
By
loose.
the third quarter, I think we'll all be looking for something else to watch.
You're probably right. Okay, so the games that matter. Thursday night game, Ravens at the Bucks. I'm going to give this one to Steve. I've been starting with Schwaber the last few times. Steve, Ravens at the Bucks.
Ravens at the Bucks. Well, are the Bucks really that bad? That's the only thing you really have to answer. And I think the answer to that question is no. I don't think they're that bad. And I think the Ravens got bad news with J.K. Dobbins going to be out for a while with, under his knee got hurt again. Gus Edwards is back.
He tore it up this week.
Unfortunately for us. Yeah,
right.
But I mean, on the road, is Tom Brady really going to lose to the Ravens? I'm going to go with no. I don't think they're that bad. I'm going to go with the Bucks.
Yeah, like the Ravens are, to me, clearly a better team.
Right.
But they're on the road. And I'm just looking at Tom Brady after two of the biggest clunkers of his career.
Yeah.
I can't imagine 3 in a row, especially at home on a nationally televised game. So I'm going to take the Bucks in this one.
Yeah, you know what, guys? What you said, Bucks? You said Bucks, Steve, right?
I did.
Okay, Steve and Mark say the Bucks. You know what? I got to go the other way. I got to try to pick up some ground. I think the Ravens are going to come out. I do think.
I think it is a pick'em game.
It's totally a pick'em game. I think that it's going to be. They're playing in Tampa Bay. Unless it's raining like crazy, it's going to be a nice warm night. I think the Bucks team is in disarray. Are they that bad? No. Their skill level is there. They've got the personnel to be a much better team. I mean, it's essentially the personnel that won the Super Bowl. Right?
Dude, they might be that bad though.
But
they really might be.
I think there's some questions at coaching, but I think the bigger question there is I think Tom Brady is losing the team. I think he's losing the team.
That's what I mean by that bad.
That's exactly right. So I'm going to go with the Ravens over the Bucks. Next game we have is this is going to be a really interesting game to watch. Packers at Bills.
Mm-hmm.
What do you say?
It's going to be an onslaught. The Bills are going to demolish them.
Do you?
Yep. 34-3
at Bills, right?
That sound familiar?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I got to go with the Bills here. I picked them to win the Super Bowl. I don't see Aaron Rodgers getting it back anytime soon, and that Bills defense is fast. I think Aaron Rodgers might get sacked, and this might be the game where he gets his injury card. I got injured. Mm-hmm. Get me out of here, boss.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I don't think Jordan Love's that great. So I'm going to go with the Bills, too.
Yeah, I think the Bills are on a roll. They're playing in Buffalo. I also picked them to win the Super Bowl. I'm going with the Bills all the way. All right, now here's a game that I don't think when the season started, either one of us, any of us thought we would think that we would even want to pick this game, let alone these teams be in the position they're in. Giants at the Seahawks, the reincarnation of Geno Smith.
It's incredible the way the guy's playing now. Yeah. And they love him in Seattle.
He's always had the skills.
Yeah. They made him forget about their Hall of Fame quarterback.
Yeah.
Who, by the way, is terrible now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And,
and he's injured, and he didn't even play this week.
And I have to say, I for one thought that Saquon Barkley was done.
No,
I thought he was never coming back.
I thought, with the leg injuries,
injury. Because he was bad for 2 years.
No, he's playing for a paycheck. So is Daniel Jones. They both want to be in the league. They both have great talent, and I think you're seeing a lot of them believe in their head coach. Honestly, when it comes down to it, they just believe that he's got it going.
Daybell.
Yeah, and
you know who the other famous Daybell is?
No, but you're going to tell me.
Chad Daybell, the guy that killed those 2 kids with his wife Lori Daybell in Utah.
He probably
not sure you want that name, Daybell.
He probably had his phone.
Netflix documentary. Netflix documentary.
They left the first floor window open.
Yes.
Watch Dateline.
Yes. It's going to be the next.
Take the phone out of your pocket, and they're going to go murder somebody.
All right, who's going to win the game, Steve? Giants or Seahawks?
Well, you know, I'm a huge New York Giants fan. That's why I'm taking Seattle Seahawks.
You're a huge New York Giants fan? Why? Because they're doing good this year?
No, I told you that I like the Giants. You guys keep saying, well, the Giants are going to blow it. And I keep saying week after week, no, this Giants team is for real.
That is true. I'll have to give you that.
They're a for real team. They're contenders. They're probably going to get into the playoffs.
Yeah,
they can still even push the Eagles to win their division. I mean, they're only 1 game behind them.
Yep.
That being said, I'm going with the Seahawks because I don't want to see the Giants lose. So I'm going with the Seahawks.
All right. Steve's going with the Seahawks. Schwaber.
For me, I guess I'm going to go with the Seahawks. I mean, I've resigned myself to the position that I wouldn't necessarily say the Giants are for real. I think they're for real that they're going to be a good team. Like, I think they're going to make the playoffs at this point. But I'm still just sort of waiting for the shoe to drop a little bit. I mean, let's face it, they are winning every game by like 1 point.
Yeah, they're close games. Yeah.
I mean, they're not beating up on anybody. So I think at some point that luck's got to run out, and maybe it'll run out with a home game in Seattle with, the 12th man helping them out.
Right. So you're going with the Seahawks.
Go with the Seahawks.
Yeah, I'm going with the Seahawks too, only because I think that trip across country, playing in that stadium, I am not convinced that the Giants are for real. I am convinced that they are a much better team than anybody thought they were going to be to start the year.
Oh, for sure.
It's not a fluke that they're getting better.
Yeah.
But this is going to be their real test. I think the Seahawks are going to win this game. But if the Giants do win this game, I'll be on your bandwagon, Steve.
Well, they're going to win because I picked the Seahawks, so you should take.
Yeah,
the
I mean
Giants.
they could, but
maybe I should.
The thing is that if they win, though, I'd be willing to bet they win by less than 5 points.
Oh, yeah. They're going to win a lot of games by under 3.
I'm really interested to see how they're going to do when they play the Eagles and when they play the Cowboys. I'm interested to see those.
That'll come down to turnovers.
Those are all tough games.
Yeah.
We'll
those
pick
are all
them
tough
here
games.
live. Come back.
Yeah. And I got to give a shout out to my boy Taylor Heineke. I mean, come on, man. Shouldn't he be the starting quarterback for the Commanders?
Why not?
Absolutely.
What else you got? Why
comes
not?
in,
Absolutely.
pulls out
Why
a
not play him?
comeback victory. The guy's got grit. What can I say? The guy's got grit.
He's
We're
got
back
no-
in the hunt, boys.
He's got no
We're back in
talent,
the
but
hunt.
he's got grit.
He's got no talent, but he's got grit.
As long as he doesn't take his head and slam it on
Hey,
the
he-
side.
Like a la
Hey,
Gus
he's
Farrar.
He's got a better
He'll be
chance
good.
than Carson Wentz of not having turnovers.
That is
That
very
is
true.
100%
That is
true.
very true. All right. iHeartRadio, 150 million registered users, 2,000 devices, 260 platforms. And remember, you can catch the podcast, The Sports Porch, on the iHeartRadio app or platform, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, theporcheslive.com, theporcheslive.com. And tonight, we will be dropping this podcast as well as Hockey Jesus Update podcast after the Pens hopefully beat the Oilers. So anything else you guys want to say?
Let's go, Pens.
We'll catch you next week, guys. Thanks for watching.